Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of No Holds Barred for the Toronto Sun. I'm Jan Murphy, without my usual partner in crime today, Rob, who will join us, I'm sure, for the next time. We'd like to welcome back today a former guest
Oh
uh,
yeah,
and the current WWE United States Champion, Carmelo. How are things in your world right now?
fantastic! I came back with something to show this time. Last
You
time,
sure?
last time I was empty-handed, but I came with a gift for the show.
When I was sort of doing some research this morning and kind of thinking about what we were going to talk about, I couldn't help but think you're calling to promote, we're talking today to promote Canadian shows. You are the U.S. champion.
Oh no,
U.S.-Canada relations are so messy right now, but it doesn't seem to apply in sports or in professional wrestling. And why do you think that is? Why, politics are one thing, but it seems that the only thing that's exempt from that is
same
kind of
thing.
sports.
Sports. Yeah, sports entertainment. Like you can say the same thing about like Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? It's just that entertainment is bigger than politics, I would say, and sports as well. It's worldwide. It's just people kind of all come together for a common good, which is sports and entertainment.
Coming into 2026 as not only the new U.S. champion, but back as a baby face, the timing must feel good for you a little bit. I mean, I know the WWE year runs kind of to WrestleMania and then it resets, but the calendar year also sort of symbolizes a fresh start. You win the title at the end of 2025, you come into 2026, you're carrying that belt. You get to sort of go in a new direction with your character. Does that feel good for you after what I'd say was kind of an up and down 2025 for you?
Yeah, it feels good now just to kind of have that sort of like stamp of okay, I'm here now. This is I've got my footing. Especially being a baby face is something that I was a little bit worried at first. I was like, oh man, here we go. It's so much harder to try to be liked than it is for people to hate you. But the truth is that especially in the fans' eyes, they want to like somebody that everybody else likes. That's kind of what wrestling fans are very much so like. They see what everybody else is, they don't know right away, especially casuals and things like that. So when the people that have liked me throughout my heel run, and now they can kind of like me a little bit more loud and a little bit more proud, and they feel okay liking me, and other people are going, oh yeah, you know what, we like him too. So it's been great. What I mean, I'm so happy that we're cooking with something now, and I got the championship now, so it's direction, and here we go.
A couple of years ago, in one of the post-show press conferences, Triple H said something that stuck with me. He said the hardest thing to do in professional wrestling is build a baby face, like a bona fide, legitimate, over baby face. Like, it took a long time for Cody Rhodes, for example, to get to be the guy that, and Roman Reigns is another one, I think, of, the fans kind of rejected that whole baby face push at first. And it takes time, as a talent trying to sort of reinvent yourself. What are some of the tricks that you've learned, or some of the things that you've picked up watching people like Cody or Reigns, for example, in their rises and sort of overcoming that little bit of adversity that you can face trying to get a babyface character over?
Biggest thing, like I noticed with Cody, especially, is just the connection with the fans, man. I feel like that's something that, in Roman too. It's just they're connected. It's just like they're one. You know what I mean? And they're ride or die. Up and down. And I think I will say this, that what has been good for me is this year and a half of trying to figure out who I am, what my purpose is. Kind of took the fans on a ride with me where they felt like they've seen the kind of journey. They've seen me fail, they've seen me have to jump over a hurdle or, start back at the beginning. So it's almost like they organically said, hey, you know what? Like we want something for this guy. Like we want to see this guy win. We want to see this guy overcome. So that's why I think that was my connection that I ended up finding with the fans, whether it was intentional or not. It ended up, and then being with the Miz and kind of allowing people to see me in a different light, you know what I mean, and get to where I got to. So Yeah, Cody and Roman, the biggest things I think that they taught me in a sense is just connection.
Looking back at 2025, you had some really good highs and probably some periods of time where you wondered, what was next for you. It's really difficult. You can see it as a fan, I find. You can see as a fan that when watching the programming, you can say, okay, I see where they're going with this talent. Oh, this is clear where they're going here. This is what they're doing. But then there are some times when you go, what are they doing with this person? And I found myself as a fan watching the programming sometimes saying, what are they waiting on with Mello here? Like, is it hard to be patient when, you're up on that roster and so many people are fighting for so little TV time? Because that really is the stuff that is so important to character development and becoming more and more famous and getting into the bigger matches. How hard is it to be patient when you come up there and go through that?
Yeah, I think there was a couple times where I questioned my patience, right? And then, I remember I had talked to Shawn Michaels and he had mentioned, he's like, hey, it might take you 5 years. He's like, look at the roster right now. He's like, and I talked to other guys like Paul Heyman and told me, he's like, you're batting 1,000, you're just batting eighth. And that made me, I mean, little things like that. Right, right. So like that made me go, oh yeah, you know what? All right. But at the end of the day, I think my mindset was always just whatever it is that they give me, let me just control what I can control. I said, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit here and try to rush anything. I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna stay ready. I always been ready. It was never a matter of, getting ready. They threw me in whatever and I made it work. And I think that that's, a testament to, a great talent. And I think it was more so they were ready to pull the trigger. It's just a matter of when, the right time, the crowd being behind me. And I wouldn't have changed anything, how it ended up going down.
I talked to Sami Zayn about this maybe a month or so ago, and I said to him, I've never seen a bad Sami Zayn match, and I think it falls you fall into that same category for me. Every time I watch a match, I go, wow, like I was entertained.
Thank you.
Smaller, I'm not saying you're small, but guys who can move around a little bit more, I
Yeah.
think stand out more in today's product. Whereas, back in the 80s and 90s, you had to be, you know, 285 and, hardly able to move your upper body, right? Except to, lift people up over your head. Um, the transition up into to what you're doing now and did you find that challenging coming from NXT, moving into a different style? I mean, NXT is very much wrestling focused, where when you get up to the main roster, there's a little bit more of the promos and character development and things. And maybe it's slowed down a little bit more for that audience.
Yeah, a little bit. I think NXT was a lot go, go, go. And I remember Sean had told me early on, he's like, hey, if you could do this, you could go up there and you could do that easy. He's like, once you got this down, that the main roster is kind of just like that, like you said, it is a little bit of like a slower pace. You can pick it depends on who you're in the ring with.
Yeah.
But as far as like with my style goes, I've always worked guys that are bigger than me because obviously I'm not the biggest guy. So I'm used to that sort of style and that sort of story. So it really I didn't have to do much to change that. I try to just, stick to what got me to the dance. When I can get in there with guys that can do that sort of style, I try to do that sort of style, but I'm very adaptable. I think that's one of the things that's gotten me this far is just being like kind of like a hybrid style. I can work with the, luchador guys. I can work with the, bigger guys and, the whatever it is that they need me to do, I can kind of adapt. So I mean, I wouldn't say it was a huge change. It's just a matter of kind of learning how to bring the people in more as opposed to rely on my wrestling to get, the crowd going. It's more just how can my character within the match uh allow the people to come in.
I've always been curious when you make that leap up to main TV and all of a sudden you've got these long TV commercial breaks. How do you sort of adjust to that? I mean, as a guy who, worked wrestling before when there wasn't TV, now you've got, looks sometimes like a 5, 6 minute TV break where the match has to go on. And now you've got some people at home still able to see that. Like here in Canada, we can see the breaks still on Netflix, right? We just don't have the audio. Was there a little bit of a transition for the talent in trying to learn how to do that as well?
So we did do that in NXT actually. Not as many times, but there's been you know you work through the commercial break or you're in picture. I mean you try not to do anything different. I mean sometimes a lot of times you want to have your best stuff on TV, right?
Right.
So you're not gonna do your best stuff in the commercial break. But it's a formula. You want the people when you come back from commercial, you want it to look like you guys are working hard in the crowd and go crazy. So there's a formula to making sure you're doing enough to where the crowd comes back, or you come back to TV and it looks like there was something, oh my God, what did I miss? But yeah, it can be a little difficult, but at the end of the day, it's just part of the formula. It's a WWE formula, and that's just the way that we got to work.
You've got SmackDown in Montreal coming up. I guess I'd like to spend a little bit of time on that, and then we'll talk sort of what your
Sure.
goals are for the rest of the year. But so yeah, SmackDown in Montreal, followed by Saturday night's main event, and then we've got Monday Night Raw a couple of nights later. Before we talk about the show itself, who's your favorite Canadian on the roster right now? You got Sami Zayn, an injured Kevin Owens, Natty Neidhart, Chelsea Green, Maurice. I think the Miz's better half. Ariana Grace. Is there some Canadian? Is there a Canadian that you're closer with?
I mean, I like them all. I don't have a favorite Canadian. That's just a silly question. Who's your favorite? Like, it's like, who's your favorite American? I don't know. I'll say my
Yeah,
favorite
Gable.
Canadian of all time is Edge.
Nice. Yeah, Adam is
Yeah,
the stuff of legend up here. Sami Zayn to me
yeah.
right
Don't get me
now
wrong, though. Hold on, Sammy,
probably.
Kevin. Don't get me wrong. Like those guys are awesome too. I think it's just I'm not gonna pick a favorite Canadian.
Well, you've probably just started a rivalry. We just started a rivalry here, right?
I
Sammy's
know, I
coming
know,
after you now. Way to go.
I
Uh,
know.
uh, do you have any Canadian stories? Anything that's happened to you in Canada that stands out for you in your career to this point? Anything funny that happened? Or I mean, one time Tommy Dreamer got such a an expensive speeding ticket going down the 401 between Montreal and Toronto that they impounded his car on the spot.
No, I don't have anything good yet. I mean, I was only out there two or three times. I mean, I had good experiences there, though. I got to do like Boys and Girls Club in Toronto.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and I got to just see kind of how just the difference between like American healthcare and Canadian healthcare. Like they walked us through like the hospital or it was some sort of like a community center almost, but they have like free dental, free all sorts of free healthcare and things like that, and it just made me realize like Toronto, not just Toronto, but Canada and a total is just it's awesome. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, this place is freaking good, like compared to America. The people were really kind. Like I said, I mainly experienced Toronto. It felt like a New York, felt like kind of like a cleaner New York City. It was a super cool experience, and I think we had. I'm trying to remember when we talked if it was leading up to Money in the Bank or if it was.
Probably, yeah, probably because Toronto,
Yeah,
right? Yep, it was probably before the Toronto.
I think it was leading up to Money in the Bank. But yeah, so yeah, Toronto. That experience probably be my the most thing that happened to me there.
How do you feel about the cold and the snow?
I'm from the cold, man. I'm from Massachusetts, so like I'm used to that. I
Oh,
live
you're
in
used to
Orlando now. Yeah, I live in Orlando now, so I mean now I'm kind of just, I'm warm-blooded. But
it.
we're getting ready to go to Germany today, my dog, sorry. I'm getting ready to go to Germany today, so I'm gearing up to get back into the cold. And we were in New York and we were in Detroit. We are in all these cold places, so yeah, I'm used to it, man.
Uh, Following those events in Montreal, the Royal Rumble is just in the offing, which is signifies the road to WrestleMania, and as we sort of talked about earlier, kind of the end of the WWE's year over year calendar. The opportunity to be part of the Royal Rumble, what would that mean to you? And are there some goals that you've set for yourself in 2026 that that you can share with us?
The opportunity to be in the Rumble, same as every year, it's a huge opportunity. I mean, you can make yourself a star. You don't got to win the Rumble half the time. You know what I mean? You make yourself a star in those whatever, however long you get that opportunity to be in there, mix it up with different guys. I think it's a cool opportunity to see guys mixing up with guys that you've never seen before. You know what I mean? There's a lot of raw guys that I've never got to really interact with. Also, on top of that, all the surprises that they have, and new guys coming in or old guys coming back, whatever it may be. I'm excited for the Royal Rumble. As far as my goals go, I mean, with the United States Championship, I just want to carry on that legacy and carry on that prestige. I want to take it to heights even higher than guys like Sammy and Ilya, and that's the bar is pretty high. I want to make sure that I do my part on that, and I want to, as far as a mid card championship, that it's looking like this is the one right now. I just want to put on fantastic matches. I want to really, get the crowd rocking in every single city. I got this championship with me. I want to give guys opportunities the same way I was given an opportunity. I'm locked in, man, and I've been locked in always. But now that I got the title, it's a little bit more of a responsibility to make sure I carry it with that same prestige and honor that was carried before me.
Undoubtedly, you'd like to still be hanging on to that title when April rolls around in Las Vegas.
One hundred
Is home.
percent. Walking into WrestleMania as United States Champion, it would be that would be sweet. That would be really cool,
Thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing you in Montreal, and
sir.
as always, enjoy watching what you do. You're an incredible talent, and
Thank you,
you have a very bright future in front of you. And I appreciate your time again, as always.
thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Carmelo.
See you, bro.